All cats and boyfriends have to sit down and be quiet for the next hour. Now we can start the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown adults revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. My name is Sophie. I am one of the hosts, which I seem to need to specify every time while I'm playing for time to open the other tab I need to open. I have a randomly generated YA title, though, to go with my name, which is Sophie.
Wait, what was your name?
So my name is Sophie.
Wait, I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, it's fine. You know what? The only thing that matters is this randomly generated YA title,
True.
which you can refer to me as for the rest of the show.
Okay.
And it is A Millennial of Empires and Ruin.
Dang.
Damn. Damn.
So this is like the summary of all of those millennial think pieces that are like, millennials are ruining golf. Millennials are ruining avocados.
My favorite is, why aren't millennials buying diamonds? Like,
Oh my god.
I can't afford avocados. You think I can afford a diamond?
My empire for an avocado.
My empire of avocados.
Yeah. I don't own a house, but I have 10,000 avocados.
Accurate.
If only you hadn't bought those 10,000 avocados,
If
then you could
only.
have bought a house.
The real
Foolish.
problem is that they all ripened at the same time.
So much guacamole, though.
So much guac. I just sleep in it. Okay. Who are you guys?
My name is Sam, in case you've forgotten, and my YA title of today is A Wound of Sheep and Midnight Sun.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Aw.
Actually,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna get copyright striked for that title. Can't have Midnight Sun in there.
Oh.
Stephanie Meyer's
true.
gonna come for you.
A Wound of Sheep and Midnight Sun.
Yeah.
Fixed it.
A wound of sheep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I just envision like irate sheep. I'm thinking of a lot of things as just being irate right now with my current mental state. So there's just like a lot of angry things.
Yeah. It almost feels like a wound is like the name of a group of animals.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
We say this a lot, but
I mean,
a wound of sheep sounds like something you would hear like in Wales.
mm.
You know, like small town Wales. Like that's what they call it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, in Ravka, they would call it that.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Definitely. Yes. I support that.
You know, it could just be that because both of you are watching the new Shadow and Bone TV show.
It might be. Yes.
Excuse you, I have finished the new Shadow and Bone
Oh,
show. Thank
so
you
have
very
I.
much. It was way better than the books, shockingly.
Yeah. It was
Well,
great.
Better than the Shadow and Bone series, not as good as the Six of Crows series,
Yeah. Exactly.
which is kind of what I expected. Anyway,
I saw one gif of Jesper, not to be confused with Jasper, and I'm on board.
Jasper
Yeah.
was perfection. Like, mwah. So good.
so good. The crows were cast perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh man, impeccable.
But those aren't the books we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
God, can you imagine if we did this podcast about Shadow and Bone?
Oh, I think I found our next book.
Nope.
Nope.
I
I
refuse.
refuse.
True.
Absolutely not.
Fair. Yes.
And
Who are
I,
you? Yeah.
yeah, I am one of the people who will never read Shadow and Bone again, and my name is Hannah. And my randomly generated YA title for today is The Demon of Collectors and Bone.
I love
Whoa.
it.
I
love
love
it.
that. Oh
It's pretty hardcore.
man.
I want to read that.
I'd read it.
I want that demon to be my pet.
Well,
Well.
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 that's something we might need to unpack later.
Oh. The Bone Collector is a Court of Mist and Fury thing, isn't it?
The Bone Carver, yeah.
Carver. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, he gets introduced in A Court of Mist and Fury.
There we go.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
something in my brain is screaming Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
I mean, this does sound like a Sarah J. Maas, but
It
Yes.
super does.
Yep.
unfortunately, the
Yeah.
only demon we have is Edward and possibly James.
We've talked about 2 series that are not the ones we're reading. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the ones we're reading.
Yep.
The Sam.
I don't want to. I mean,
And yet here we are.
Yeah.
And yet.
Yet. Okay. So, I mean, this chapter hurt a lot. It's called Goodbyes, in case anyone needed to know. And I know we aren't a huge fan of Charlie on this podcast, but like Bella cut him so deep and it just hurt me so deep in my soul. But anyways, other than the hurtful goodbye, not much else happens beside everyone meeting up at the Cullens, chatting with Laurent, and starting the plan to keep Bella safe, which they ended up going with her idea, which was obviously the best idea because it's Bella. Anyways, Hannah, what happened in Midnight Sun?
Edward is with Bella throughout this chapter, so we don't really get any extra full scenes, although the actions of the other vampires are fleshed out a little bit, and Edward thinks through an interesting analysis of why it would have been much better to have simply started the fight at the baseball field when it could have happened right off the bat, rather than trying to run. And there's also some insight into Laurent's thought processes and why he decides to leave from there and go to Denali by himself. Namely, that he is afraid of James hunting him down once he's done with Bella, and he wants to be around a large coven that can protect him.
Fun. I appreciated, for the first time, this Midnight Sun chapter.
Yeah.
Because while I was reading it, I was like, man, why didn't they just fight him at the beginning? Like, why didn't they just fight him in the field? It would have been so much easier.
Mhm.
And literally, like, 3 paragraphs after I thought that, Edward answered it. And I was like,
Hell yeah.
this is what this book was supposed to be. Answering the questions that came up after I read Twilight.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
Not just a rage fest about a creepy, obsessive stalker vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I mean, his rationale is kind of dicey because it's basically just Carlisle wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, they knew pretty much immediately this is where it was going to lead. So they should have just done it. But anyway.
I figured it was like a panic response of, we can't fight, Bella will die, we need to run. And then afterwards, with like hindsight being like, oh, that was the wrong choice, like should have done
dang.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We do get the first, I think, official time, at least in Twilight, where it is explained how a vampire can be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, quote, the only way to be sure that the vampire is dead is to tear him to shreds and then burn the pieces. Which we do know from later on in the books, but it occurred to me that that is just like so extra. Like,
Guys,
Just morbid.
I have such an important question about this part.
Okay.
Do they have to tear them apart and then burn the pieces? Is it because they're like echinoderms and each piece is gonna regrow
Yes.
into a whole vampire?
Oh god.
Oh, I don't think it's like that, but I think it's like the zombie aspect where you like cut pieces off and they are all like mobile on their own. Like I'm pretty sure if you just like take all the pieces away, they all find their way back to each other.
That's sort of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah.
I actually prefer my echinoderm theory more.
I mean, yeah, that would be hilarious because then it's just a bunch of asexual vampire reproduction and then the problems of Breaking Dawn would be a lot better.
Can you imagine just like a regular sized Edward arm with like the tiny rest of his body growing back?
Oh my god, it's like Deadpool when he loses his hand.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm on board with this.
Oh my
Okay, so
God.
echinoderms will only grow back from a limb or grow back their limbs if they have a piece of the central disc on that dismembered segment.
Yeah.
So, which part of the vampire is the central disc?
Also, if any of our millions of fans don't know what an echinoderm is,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a sea star or an urchin,
Or a sea cucumber.
sea cucumber.
Or a brittle star.
Yeah, lots of
Sand
things.
dollars.
Yeah.
We're thinking of sea stars, basically, at this
I was
moment.
trying to remember the word for sand dollar and I could not. Thank you. Okay. Yes, those.
Yes.
What is the central disc, though? Because on a sea star, it's like pretty obvious. It's got the 5 points all on that disc in the middle.
Yeah.
I guess like the torso?
The heart?
I was thinking like brain.
I was
head?
also thinking that, yeah, but then
Oh.
then our theory, yeah, then it wouldn't work.
Well, then if you rip their head off, it can just regrow a tiny little body.
But what happens if you just leave a pile of a shredded vampire? Like, you shred this vampire, you leave it in a pile, but you don't burn it. Like, what happens?
It like vibrates back together. Or maybe somebody has to put it back together. Because they can put things back on when they get ripped off.
But then how does their skin, like, the diamond skin just, like, reknits itself? How can they do that if they're not producing new cells?
I have it in my head that you use vampire venom as an adhesive to put a vampire back together. I do not know where that came from.
Sense.
It might be canonical. I might have read a fan fiction once upon a time. I have no idea. But in my head, in order to put a vampire back together, you have to like spit on the bits and then stick them together like pottery.
Oh my god.
Wouldn't the bits already like if they're just a bag of vampire venom, wouldn't the bits already have venom on them?
Maybe the venom coagulates if the circulatory system isn't working, because we decided that they have like a capillary based circulatory system, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's like when it's in the vampire, it's like super viscous, so it doesn't like all fall out. And it's only when it like is in a human blood that it diffuses. Listen, I don't want to think about that anymore because it's going to end up somewhere I don't want to talk about. Anyway,
I want to ask about the utility of burning.
Okay.
So if you can put a vampire back together after it has been ripped apart, unless it has been burned, is that because of a chemical reaction with the vampire material? Like, does it chemically change it so that they can't get put back together?
Like if you shredded it into like itty bitty pieces, they could just come back together?
I don't know. If they can come back together autonomously, then even if you shredded it, eventually it would come back together. But if someone has to reassemble it, and you've shredded it to tiny pieces, that might be difficult to figure out where they all go.
Like a terrible puzzle.
I guess vampires have a lot of time.
Also, I've just Googled the melting point of a diamond.
Okay.
Because we've established there are diamonds, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've gone. The melting point of diamond is 4,027 degrees Celsius.
Oh my god.
That's pretty high, huh?
I think that is impossible to get to with just an open flame.
Gotta be.
Yeah. And it says, in the absence of oxygen, diamonds can be heated to much higher temperatures.
Well, diamonds can burn. Like, it might not melt, it might just combust.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, fast facts. In non-oxidizing conditions under normal pressure, diamonds can be heated to 1900 degrees Celsius. In non-oxidizing conditions at extremely high pressure, it's 3,500 degrees Celsius. And in no oxygen, it's 4,027 degrees Celsius. So if you put it in if you put a vampire in a vacuum, that's the melting point. But in just normal ambient conditions, the melting point of a vampire is 1,900 degrees Celsius.
Dang.
But if you were trying to just burn it.
Yeah.
In an atmosphere of pure oxygen, diamond has an ignition point as low as 690 degrees Celsius. So if you had like the right environment, you could burn a vampire with like a welding torch.
Yeah. So like it's weird that you have to tear him to pieces and then burn him. Like, could you not just burn it?
It would burn faster if you increase the surface area, right? Like, a lot of things that aren't necessarily flammable become flammable under like normal conditions if the surface area is small enough. Like flour can
Yeah.
explode.
Right.
I think in the Breaking Dawn movie, they do that. For some reason, I have a memory of them like just torching vampires that are like completely whole still, and then like ripping their head off. But I could be remembering things wrong.
They definitely do it once they've ripped the head off. Like, they don't rip it into
Yeah.
tiny pieces. They just rip it into 2 pieces and then burn it.
Yeah.
Strange.
Maybe it's just too easy for a vampire to stop, drop, and roll if you don't rip its head off first.
Yeah, it can just like teleport to the nearest ocean.
Yeah. Bye. Like Laurent is going to do when he leaves the Cullen. His plan is to
Yeah.
run straight into the ocean.
And just keep going.
We did speculate in an earlier episode if vampires can smell underwater.
Yeah.
And according to this chapter, a vampire is untraceable by scent in the water.
Oh.
So
I didn't pick up on
that sort of answers that
Yeah,
question.
me neither.
It was just like
Great.
a single line, but it said ocean, so I paid more attention because I'm predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Another fun thing in this chapter is,
Uh-huh.
well, fun for me,
Oh, God.
if we can figure out how good a vampire's hearing is.
We can.
Isn't that great, guys? Aren't you excited
Yep.
for the math that I did?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there is a part in this book where they bring Bella back to the Cullen house, and Edward is listening for when James like gets into position. And while they are discussing what to do with Bella, he says James was just outside of hearing range of their conversation, and then he says he's about 3 miles out.
Oh.
So,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, here's where I started. 3 miles is about 4.8 kilometers, and a normal human level of conversation is 60 decibels. I'm assuming they're talking at like a normal human level because Bella can hear the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not whispering. They don't specify that they're whispering, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So 60 decibels. Assuming 3 miles is like just past the range, at 3 miles, the sound of that conversation will be somewhere between negative 14 decibels and negative 15 decibels.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're probably like less than that, not much. So probably around like negative 12, which is how far they can hear, which means that puts them lower than like quite a few animals.
Yeah, that's not as
or I guess
astute
higher.
as I was expecting.
Yeah. So I literally could not find the source that I used last time about owl hearing. I could not find it again. I have no idea what I Googled or what I looked at because I could not find anywhere that had the same number. I did find a paper that stated that barn owls, when they're younger, they can hear better when they're older. But barn owls could hear about to negative 20 at their best. So, yeah, I mean, not much has better hearing than owls.
Right.
When you discuss like hearing capabilities of animals, people seem to care more about the frequency that they can hear. Like people love to be like, oh, like dogs can hear way outside of the frequency that humans can hear, but it's not actually talking about like loudness. It's talking about, yeah, just the frequency, like higher or lower frequency.
Yeah.
So I really couldn't find a lot about what can hear quieter sounds.
Interesting.
I only specifically Googled owls.
That's fair.
But yeah, because I sort of expected, I mean, the idea is probably that vampires should be better than any living creature at everything. But yeah, this puts them like below what owls are. So they're vampires.
But what frequency can vampires hear at?
This is such an important question, and I'm so glad you asked it. No, not really. No. The only thing I had was because we've sort of, put vampires into the Lepidopteran family, the butterflies and moths.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The animal with the best hearing, i.e. the widest range in terms of frequency, is a moth. The greater wax moth can hear up to 300 kilohertz.
Oh, jeez.
Humans can only hear to 20.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
yeah. Specifically for this moth, it's thought that they can hear that high because it's like an arms race with bats
Yeah.
to be able to avoid their echolocation.
I remembered that in Silverwing.
There you go!
Do you know how low they can hear? Just because I worked with baleen whales, which like don't really get above like 100 hertz unless you're a humpback.
Oh, no, I didn't write down how
Ugh.
low it gets. Sorry.
That's fine. They could probably hear a blue whale.
You know what? I'll Google it. I want to know if the moth can hear a blue whale.
Yes, I also want to know this.
This is important.
It's very important information.
The lowest, I guess, confirmed blue whale tonal call is typically around 9 or 10 hertz.
It specifically says that they have selective pressure to be able to detect high frequency sound.
Yeah.
So I don't think the lower frequency is
No,
as
there would be no
low.
reason.
It says they can hear, they use the 30 to 100 hertz range for communication. So.
Okay. Cool.
Oh my god. What?
What?
They use that range because they're actually a parasite on bees,
What?
honeybees.
Oh, no.
And honeybees don't produce sound in that range, so they can't hear the moths coming.
Oh, that's actually terrifying. This is why I hate moths.
This is why you hate vampires.
This is why I hate parasites.
Yes. Damn.
Great. So we hate this.
Yep. I mean, if you think about it, vampires are a parasite.
They
Yes,
are.
we did
And so are
establish this.
these moths.
Yeah.
Cool.
So is a vampire actually just a moth? Is that the
I think
biology
that's the
we're going
conclusion.
with? Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's what we're doing.
Okay.
That's what we've established.
Shell.
Oh god, is the vampire like parasite that infects humans like a moth
On a honeybee.
Oh.
larva?
What
I
kind
hate
of
it.
moth was this again? A wax
The greater wax moth.
moth. A wax moth. So vampires are just like a subspecies or closely related species of the wax moth, maybe?
Oh no, I feel like there are many moths that do this. This one just had a fun frequency fact.
Yes, okay.
Anyway, that's the math I did.
That's some good math. I am surprised that they can't hear quieter sounds.
Right?
It's very interesting.
And like considering I didn't account for the fact that there's like walls and trees,
Yeah.
like they probably have worse hearing than that.
Yeah.
Well, it would probably be better because those things would dampen the sound, right? So if some of the sound is being dampened and he can still hear it 3
Oh,
miles
right.
away, then
Great
their hearing
point.
is better. It's not like they're underwater where sound travels better.
No. You know, maybe the problem is that their hearing range is in the high frequency,
Yeah.
and that's why they can't hear well underwater.
Well, high frequency sounds attenuate a lot faster than low frequency sounds. That's why a lot of baleen whales use really low frequency sounds because they can travel a lot farther before they get attenuated in the saltwater. So maybe the like sound waves are just kind of getting caught up in all of the very dense foliage around their house and not getting as far as they could if they were like in the clearing still.
True.
But still, we found at least
Yeah.
a good starting point.
It's like with how fast vampires can run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Slowly.
Somewhere between a very reasonable number and a wholly unreasonable one.
Yes, exactly. The only other math I did was to check that Edward was not lying when he said the Jeep Wrangler could not outpace James.
Mm-hmm.
I did check, and a top speed of a Jeep Wrangler is 180 kilometers per hour, which is 50 meters per second. Unless you mod it extensively, at which point it's 200 kilometers per hour, which is still only 55 meters per second.
Oh.
So, well below what a vampire can do.
Good to know.
Damn.
Yep, that's what I did.
I love it when you do math.
I should say I super don't understand how sound works. I am like barely understanding the math I'm doing. If I got it wrong, which is entirely possible, who knows?
The podcast isn't peer reviewed. We don't know.
No.
Thank God.
Can you imagine? Oh my god. I mean, I guess our peers are the only ones who listen to it. I don't.
Yeah, it's being
True.
reviewed by peers.
Yeah.
If you listen to this podcast and don't know us in real life, please let us know, because that would be really exciting.
It would be.
Please don't listen to my math in case it's wrong, though. Just skip those
Okay,
parts.
just skip that part.
Yeah. The only notes I had for the Twilight chapter were how much it sucked that Edward made light of what Bella had to do
I know.
to Charlie. I don't like Charlie, but she was so mean to him.
Yeah.
In context, she says the exact same thing her mom said to him when she left Forks and left him.
Mhm.
She uses the same words. Oh, painful.
Yeah.
That did sort of make me wonder, like, how Bella knows them. Is that just a thing that's come up with her mom? Like, over dinner? Hey, what were the last words you ever said to my dad before you left him and took me and
That is a
moved to the
good
other side of the
point.
country?
How old was Bella when Renee left?
She was pretty young, wasn't she?
I don't actually know that.
Let me flip through my Twilight book and see if I can find anything.
Because I feel like if you were like 6 or 7 or older,
You'd remember.
that kind of thing would just like be in your brain.
Nope, it says on the very first page of Twilight, it was from this town and its gloomy, omnipresent shade that my mother escaped with me when I was only a few months old.
Yep.
Yeah, so she'd have no idea.
She'd have no idea. I mean, it could be one of those things where like trying to assuage some of the guilt her mom said, like, I was so mean to Charlie, like, here's
Yeah.
what I said. You know, like, that could have been a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, given how close their relationship is, it doesn't surprise me. Like, my mom's told me some stuff about, like, the start of her and my dad dating and stuff. Not, like, specifics like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think it's completely, totally out of the realm of possibilities of a mother and daughter, like, talking about it.
Yeah.
That's true. And there is a very deliberate framing of Renee as, like, a very immature mother who would rather be
Yeah.
Bella's friend than her parent.
Yeah. Which also is, like, that doesn't surprise me then if that's something that she told Bella.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. It just sucks that, like, trying to get her out of her, like, misery at having to say that to Charlie.
Yeah.
But Edward's like, wow, I didn't realize you were so bored with small town life. It's like, oh, you fucking dick.
I could not believe he actually said that. I was
Yeah.
just like you're pretty awful. But like, are you're that much of an insensitive dick?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I was just like, this is not what to do. You read the fucking room, Edward. Read the room. But we've established you're an obtuse man, so like whatever. But it annoyed me very much so.
While it's happening, there's like a paragraph where he says, like, I have made Bella this hellish place, right? Like he knew what she was going through, and then he goes ahead and says this.
Yeah.
Like, being like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Like, ha 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 ha. It's like, shut the fuck up, Edward.
Such an idiot, man.
Not actually reassuring, thank you.
Maybe if he couldn't read minds, I might give him like just the tiniest bit of like, well, he didn't really know what she'd said, like the impact of it, but he literally does.
Yeah, he was in Charlie's head as Bella was saying this to him.
Edward just lacks emotional intelligence. This man does not know how to read a room. He cannot read a person's emotions. He's dumb in the respect of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, just so bad.
So bad.
It's wild that he has so much insight because of the aforementioned mind reading and still doesn't seem to have the capacity for empathy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't imagine how anybody else would feel about something, even when, with the single exception of Bella, he can literally hear how people feel and react to things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting disconnect. Like, how did he manage to avoid developing, like, finer tuned empathy? He doesn't like killing people when he's in their head, because that's a bummer. was like, okay, well, that's like, the bar is on the floor there, Edward.
Yeah. Because it would almost be like maybe his mind reading just like doesn't give any emotion, right? Like maybe he can hear the tone of the words, but he just like, because like he doesn't get the feelings that go
That's more
along with
Jasper.
it. Yeah, otherwise Hugh and Jasper would just like be able to do the same thing, kind of.
True.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
literally this paragraph about Charlie, it's like the words seemed simple enough, but crushing anguish speared Charlie through where he stood. It's like, okay, so you like know that.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Edward, the dummy.
Edward.
Yeah, such a dummy.
Yeah.
Such a dummy.
Maybe because this chapter wasn't them doing it in the past chapter, like where they just completely ignored Bella, but I actually found the Alice and Edward co-op powers very cool at the beginning of this chapter.
Yes.
It felt very like spy-esque, like it was very cool.
Yeah. Edward actively being like, I'm gonna think about this thing and see how it changes Alice's future vision.
Yeah.
Right? And then them working through that and being like, okay, no. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna make this decision instead. What happens now?
That's wild.
It's like a really overpowered set of abilities.
Yeah. OP. Yeah, it almost suggests that Edward has the ability to like 100% be behind a decision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he knows he's only doing it to see what Alice gets out of it. That must have taken some practice.
One can only assume.
It's like Jack's compass in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, how do you know what you want most in the world at all times?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue.
No, it's like, at one point I really want ice cream, and like Jack, sometimes I want rum. Actually, I hate rum. But it's like, yeah, so it's like, how do you get so good at like blocking out every other possibility in your brain and like only focusing on like, no, I'm gonna make this decision? I don't know about you guys, but like I feel like my brain sometimes works on like 5 different levels. Like I think out 5 different situations at the same time. I wouldn't know how to like hone in on like, yeah, I'm gonna make this one decision because I overthink the 5 other decisions that I could make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's been developing that skill instead of emotional intelligence.
That's where all of his brain power goes into.
Took him a century.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair to him, that would probably take a lot of practice.
Yeah.
That kind of personal thought manipulation.
But how long has he known Alice for? Not that long. In the grand scheme of his life.
They met after they left Forks the first time.
Yeah.
Which was like 70 years or something previously. But that's...
Okay.
Even if we say it's been like 50 years, that's still a while.
Yeah, yes.
Still a long time.
Yep.
Quite a long time.
Yep.
I did one other deep dive.
Okay.
It's just like a fun fact to add to our vampire biology concept. So there's this part near the end where Edward says, when he has to leave Bella, he says, "It felt as though all the cells in my body were dying off one by one as I set her back on her feet." So, in the human body, cells die all the time.
Constantly.
Like, all the time, constantly. Because if your cells don't die, it's like a thing called controlled cell death or apoptosis. If your cells don't die, that's how you get cancer. But some cells don't die ever, and they are called the HeLa cells.
Oh my god.
No.
So, yeah. Well, I just want to say that there's only one kind of cell that doesn't have apoptosis happen in it from a cervical tumor from a woman named Henrietta Lacks that were taken without her consent. Yeah. And if you want to learn more about that, I suggest reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good book. Definitely read it. But these cells don't have apoptosis occurring. So they can still continue with every other cell thing that they do. They are just immortal. So I suggest that this is the pathway that is occurring in vampire cells.
Yeah.
They've just lost the process of controlled cell death.
Yeah. That seems very reasonable to me.
And then they never die.
Remember when we were talking about when Edward showered and then I got really fixated on whether or not he lost hair and like
Yeah.
what would happen? So I guess it kind of fits with that, right? What I can't remember what our conclusion was from that episode.
I think it was just that they don't lose hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's also diamond strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah.
So these are just like diamond strength HeLa cells?
Well, they're not specifically the HeLa cells.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just, I would assume that they have lost the same pathway.
Right.
Just like a bag of diamond immortal cells.
That's gross. Why would you say that?
Yeah. Just like in the same, so on the apoptosis, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's been a while since I took a cell biology class. In the controlled cell death pathway, on the page of Wikipedia that I was looking at, there's like one paragraph about the pathway that is inhibited in HeLa cells.
Mhm.
And the first part of the paragraph is talking about that, and then it's talking about a virus that can induce apoptosis in that pathway afterward. So like it's a thing that they can like a pathway they can add in to like reverse it.
Yeah.
And I just find it hilarious that if this is the pathway in vampires, the virus that could counteract it is the canine distemper virus.
Oh.
Which is like the werewolves.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
I like
Yeah.
that.
This goes
Isn't
back
that
into
fun?
our question of, is Stephanie Meyer secretly a
Secretly
genius?
a genius.
Or is this all just a really weird coincidence
Yeah.
that we're happening upon?
Or are we just going way too in depth?
That one.
Too
It's
in
that
depth.
one.
It's that one. Finding
Ooh.
coincidences wherever we can see them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I did a double take when I was reading the paragraph. I was like, wait, I need to understand what's going on here because I was thinking about how it's a vampire and then now it says canine and now I need to know.
Wow.
Damn.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting. We
It's
need to remember
fun.
this for when we write our treatise on vampire biology
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's an important one.
I wrote it down in my notes. Anyway,
Perfect.
yeah, that was just a fun thing.
Yeah. That's so cool. Man, I love those coincidences. They're
Yeah.
They're my
They're
favorite.
so
The
good.
thing is though, is we're coming upon so many of them that like I'm really
Yeah.
having a hard time just like there's no way Stephanie Meyer was this smart. There's no way. Like
No, I think we're just crowbarring sense into this thing, but I'm
Yeah.
having a great time.
yeah,
it's
great.
very fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the like if you put an infinite number of monkeys in front of an infinite number of typewriters, eventually one of them will come up with Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love probability.
Oh man, I don't like stats, but
Yep.
I'm glad you do.
I mean, some days I don't.
So I had completely forgotten that Laurent like went home with the Cullens, even though I think they said it in the last chapter that he was going to go back with them. It
Yeah.
like completely caught me off guard when they got to the Cullen house and he was there.
Mhm.
You know,
It's been 2 weeks since we
It's
read the
been a
last
while.
chapter.
Yeah.
I was reading other things in between. But he just kind of is there, delivers some exposition, and like makes his exit. But he's like been around for 300 years and has lived in castles and like joined James's coven for protection, and then just like pieces out. And once again, like this is almost impressive that like once again Stephanie Meyer has created a side character who I would so much rather read about than Bella and Edward. I'm like, I
So
want
true.
like, why has a vampire been living in castles? And like, how did he get from there to wandering around the woods of North America in a windbreaker?
Yeah.
With a former serial killer.
Yeah, like, what's his story?
Tell us more about that.
I want to know about this guy. That's, you know, the joke that was like, still a better love story than Twilight?
Yeah.
I think we need to change it to just a better story than Twilight. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
this would be a better story than Twilight.
Yeah. Just every side character. I want to know more.
Yeah, they're all so interesting compared to Edward.
Yeah.
But there's a point where Laurent questions if Bella is worth all of the effort that the Cullens are going to, and Edward reacts very calmly. No. He reacts very aggressively. And between the two books, Laurent's reaction to Edward's reaction is described as cringing in Twilight and sliding into a submissive posture in Midnight Sun. So this is the vampire biology that I was thinking about.
Okay.
Which is what would specify a submissive posture for a vampire. Because we've already established that a lot of their mannerisms are a lot more, for lack of a better term, like feral than a human's body language.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you know what a submissive human does, right? Like, you show your hands, you don't make aggressive eye contact, you try to, like, make pleasing facial expressions so that the other person isn't mad at you.
Yeah.
And is it the same for a vampire, or do they, like, lean more into other animalistic submissive postures?
Yeah, I think because, like, only because from Bella's perspective, it was also, like, called cringing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I imagine the typical human reaction, like, you, like, hunch over, right? Like, you're crouched
Yeah.
a little bit, you know? That's what I pictured.
Okay.
I don't know how that would make sense as, like, a vampire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could argue, like, head down, you're kind of hiding your weapons, right? Because, like, that's a thing that animals do, where they, like, close their mouth or something to, like, hide their teeth.
Yeah, I was looking, or trying to find examples of submissive body language in, like, some animals that I thought, like, could be applicable. I looked at chimpanzees, mountain lions, and bears.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, chimpanzees are just more aggressive
Just
primates.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Oh man, do not like
the
them.
most terrifying animal.
Oh, they freak me out.
Yep.
And then mountain lion and bears. But basically, with all predators, like including humans, a submissive posture is basically just, I make myself smaller and more vulnerable, and I don't look directly at you.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads to the question of, like, if you are trying to be, like, very submissive to a vampire as a vampire, and you want to, like, show your vulnerable spots, which part of a vampire is the most vulnerable?
I mean, probably their back, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, they have the same range of motion that humans do. So, like, it's going to be their hands and their teeth that are their main weapon. And they can't, like, spin their head around like owls. Because the thought of that just gave me nightmares. So I'm assuming, like, to keep it within the cringing kind of frame, right? Like, if you offset your body so that you're not facing them head on, that means like you're not at your best, right? Like, you don't have all your weapons out front. So that maybe that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thinking about this too hard now.
Well, I was gonna say, normal vampire lore, it would probably be the chest, because usually it's like a stake through the heart. Or I guess the back is the same in that sense.
Yeah, you can get to a heart from the back.
Yeah. My point was, usually that would be like the most vulnerable thing as far as like from normal vampire lore, but Twilight vampires aren't normal, they're moths. So
does that mean if you're a non-Twilight vampire and you come across a vampire that's more threatening to you or than you, the way you display submission is you, like, rip open your shirt?
I mean, that checks with a lot of the horny vampire books.
Oh man! No. Are horny vampire book authors also secretly genius?
I mean, sometimes
Probably.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, every time we talk about horny vampires, I just am, like, bowled over again with the concept of, like, what is the best predator for a human? Something that's super sexy. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it is.
it
It's
is.
so true.
100%.
Uh-huh.
Like, nothing else. Just make it super hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the best predator.
Yep.
Yep.
And make
So
it
they are.
sparkle.
Yeah, they are
Yes.
secretly geniuses, is
Yeah.
what
Wow.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen advertisements before. You can get someone to do anything if you slap a hot lady on it. Gross.
Anyone not wearing a shirt. Done.
Before we move on from this, just because I thought it was funny, one of the things that you can use to like suss out the dominant structure in chimpanzee troops is who gets groomed the most and who does most of the grooming. So like the
Oh.
higher up you are on the totem pole, the less you have to groom others. But if you're like at the bottom, you have to spend more of your time grooming those who are more dominant than you.
Damn.
Laurent just comes in and starts brushing everyone's hair.
Starts picking blood bugs out of their hair and
Edward screams at him, so Laurent comes over and starts shining his shoes.
Edward screams at him, so he comes over and just starts braiding his hair.
yeah.
Don't worry, I got you. Edward and Emmett and Alice burst in with Bella, and Laurent's just giving Carlisle a back rub. Just
This
sorry.
is it. This is the canon right here.
That's definitely the best version.
That's
Yeah.
the best version.
I'm here for it.
He slid into a submissive posture, brushing Rosalie's hair. Just,
Yeah.
oh, it's so soft. Please don't rip my head off and burn my pieces.
Got so many bugs in here. Let me take care of that.
Oh my god.
Oh, so
Uh,
good.
Great. I love it.
Yeah.
Canonize that.
Yep.
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 Do moths do that is the question.
No.
What's the
They-
social behavior of a moth?
They just release a lot of pheromones.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, horny vampires.
I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about that because the way moths like release pheromones is with these like elaborate inflatable pheromone organs that just like kind of like explode outward of their bodies, and I just really don't want to think
Great.
about that a human body.
Which part of the body?
Usually the butt.
Yeah, okay.
The butt part.
I just keep thinking that didn't we establish that when Edward kisses Bella, there's something that like his breath smells really good to her.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It
And
always
I'm
makes her
thinking,
pass out.
yeah, so I'm like,
So now I'm imagining the structures just like exploding out of his throat.
that's what I'm doing.
Oh god. Like a horrible sarlacc.
Yeah.
Wait, you made the biology reference and I made the Star Wars reference.
Sophie, I'm so proud of you. We're
What
correcting
hath
her.
yeah, what hath this podcast wrought? Well, I think that's a show.
I think that's a show too.
Yep.
Let's guess what happens next time.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm hoping because they're two different titles,
Yeah.
we get two different stuffs happening.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So, the Twilight chapter is called Impatience, and the Midnight Sun chapter is called Ambush.
So the Midnight Sun one seems like it might be self-explanatory. They're gonna
Yeah.
jump on James, or is he gonna jump them?
Ooh.
Now that they don't have Alice.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I
but
don't-
Edward can hear
yeah.
them.
Yeah, he can hear him coming.
Yeah.
So maybe they try and ambush James
Yeah.
And James
And he has to
somehow
get away.
outsmarts them.
and he gets away. Yeah.
Yeah.
That checks. I
Yeah.
think that's a good guess.
And I'm
Yeah.
guessing the Twilight one, and I'm only guessing this because you said this happened last time.
Mhm.
Impatience is where Bella escapes from Jasper and Alice.
Or is it, don't they drive like all the way somewhere?
They go all the way to Phoenix, I'm pretty sure. Because isn't the ballet studio like Bella's old dance studio? Like it's her
Yeah.
dance studio.
Yeah, and they don't get on an airplane, right? That's
No.
in New Moon. So they
That's
drive
New
all the
Moon,
way to
yeah.
Phoenix?
Yes.
Bella can dance?
No.
No, she was really
Oh.
bad at it. That's like one of the
Okay.
points, yeah.
Got it. I was like, this doesn't track.
Yeah.
I also took ballet when I was a child, and you have seen me dance.
I took
Yeah.
3 years of dance and broke my foot 1 year and my elbow the other year. So I think that gives you an indication of how it
So
went.
So you are a YA protagonist.
Hells yes.
Oh, I'm so clumsy. It's my only flaw.
Only
Uh.
flaw. Oh, there's a lot of flaws anyways.
It's fine. As long as they're all equally charming, you can
Yeah.
still be a YA protagonist.
I've been told they're quite
Only.
charming.
There you go.
Only clumsiness. That's your only flaw.
My only flaw is clumsiness.
You're a very low-dimensional YA protagonist.
Right? I'm not like other girls, and I'm
Exactly.
clumsy, and I'm very plain looking, except to one individual who finds me beyond gorgeous.
Except to every
Aw.
boy in high school.
That is not true.
All the
That
girls
is
hate
very
you,
not
and all the
true.
boys think you're beautiful. And a vampire chases you.
Yep. Nope. Anyways.
Sounds right. Okay. Yeah, that was wow. We were so good at that. I think.
Yep.
I don't
nailed
think
it.
we actually guessed what happened, but it doesn't matter.
It's
We'll
close
find
enough.
out next time.
I think they just drive to Phoenix. I think they're gonna
Okay.
arrive in Phoenix at
I
the
think
end
so
of the
too.
chapter.
I just feel like that seems like a lot. I mean,
Yeah, that's
a
why
lot.
she's impatient.
I mean, sorry, that seems like not enough for a whole chapter.
I feel like doesn't she like the patience part comes to the fact that she's not patient and then like loses her shit at the end and it's just like fuck this, I'm not putting anyone else in danger anymore, and then like goes off to meet James. Like I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Okay, yeah. So she gives Alice and Jasper the slip.
That's what
Is what
I
we're guessing.
remember, but
Okay.
like honestly, this I don't remember this all that clearly.
Well, we'll find out in
We'll
2 weeks
find
from now,
out.
and none of us will think about it until then.
Yeah.
Yay!
Better things to think about.
Yeah, lots of other things. Let's talk about what books we're reading.
Yeah.
Yay!
My favorite part of the show.
Yeah! I took a break from Blackfish City to read some other stuff, and now I'm getting back into Blackfish City. I'm like halfway through. I'm gonna
Nice.
finish it. It's pretty good. I like it.
Nice.
What about you guys?
I have quite a lengthy list here. No, don't ask me if I'm still reading The Way of Kings, please. Just don't.
Okay, Sam,
Yeah.
are you going to finish Twilight reading one chapter every 2 weeks before you finish Way of Kings?
I might, yes. Actually, so my plan is I took a week off in May,
Yeah.
right before the Victoria Day long weekend, and we were supposed to go camping and whatever, but that's obviously been all closed down because of the lockdown in Ontario. But I'm still keeping the time off. So my plan is to like devote 2 days just to like knock it out, because my problem with The Way of Kings is that it's just so high fantasy that like my tired brain cannot handle it after a work day, and then it's like I have to be in the right mood to read it, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
Yeah. I
It's
had
just-
that same problem with Priory of the Orange Tree. It's really
Yeah.
good, but like a lot.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. The Way of Kings is really great, and I'll probably give it like 5 stars. Like it's really good. It's just so dense that it's like you have to be in the right mindset to read it. So
Yeah. We're gonna release bonus episodes before we end this book if Sam is not done Way of Kings by the time we get to chapter 24 of Twilight.
I should
Bonus
hopefully
episodes
be
of what?
done by the
We'll figure it out.
recording. Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna reread chapter 23 until Sam is done Way of Kings.
Oh my god.
That'll be incentive to finish it
Yeah.
right there. But
Punishment.
other than that, when I'm not reading the book that I should be reading, I did just finish The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune,
me
which
too.
is, our April Midlight Book Club of the month. But by the time this comes out, we will be in May. So if you're interested in reading the May book with us, it is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So keep that on your radar. But other than that, I am currently reading Cast: The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson, and The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, which is just a cute, adorable rom-com with stats. Like, it's amazing.
Wow.
So far.
It's perfect for you.
I friggin' love it so much. I'm only like 5 chapters in, and I'm just like, this is the best. So
Dang.
I'm reading that
Dang.
instead of the high fantasy because
Yeah, it's easier.
reasons. Exactly. Anyways, Hannah, what are you reading?
Yeah, you should read the book that I finished yesterday, which was Hench by Natalie Zena Walcott.
Okay.
And it was like nothing I've ever read before. It's basically about how you create your own villain, but in the most like comic book movie kind of way.
Oh.
It's about a woman who like works as a hench for like a temp agency. She gets hired by villains to do like menial jobs, and her specialty is data analysis.
Oh, cool.
And then she gets hurt on the job and nobody cares because she's a temp hench worker. And it's just like her taking revenge on the entire system, basically.
Oh my god,
Dang.
I love this.
It's brutal, like incredibly
Read it.
violent. It made me like a little sick to my stomach at some points, but like I couldn't put it down. It was shockingly good.
Dang.
Yeah. And yeah, like Sam, I also, day before yesterday, finished The House in the Cerulean Sea, which made me cry twice. And now I want to move to an island and fall in love with a mysterious man who has a bunch of magical children. That's all I want in life.
One that is specifically...
Yeah, specifically
No, I haven't finished it yet.
I can say the
Lucy.
name.
Yeah.
And Theodore.
Theodore! Oh!
Theodore!
Yeah, anybody who knows what kind of things I like and has read The House in the Cerulean Sea would be able to guess that my favorite child was Theodore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, both very good books. Both at very, very different ends. of the
Yeah.
Very
spectrum.
different vibes, it feels like.
Yeah, one of them was incredibly sweet and one of them was incredibly violent.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. I'm winning this month. Every book I've read has been a winner.
I love that.
I love that. I love a good
Yeah.
reading month.
Yeah, so good.
I'm in a book slump because I only want to read Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher, and I have it on hold at the library, and it's still like 6 weeks out, and so
Oh, no.
I can't read any other book
Uh-huh.
until then. I could just buy it for $7 on Kobo, but I'm just going to be sad until it comes to me at the library. I just got the second one come through, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, let's just take a minute to appreciate libraries, though. Both Hench
Yeah.
and The House in
Yes.
the Cerulean Sea were library books for me.
Oh my god.
Libraries
So
are the
good.
best thing that exists in our society, honestly.
Yeah. Especially during pandemic
Oh,
and
man.
infinite ebook supplies, basically.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
And
I love
audiobook
libraries.
supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, a constant
Yeah.
stream of audiobooks.
Yep.
I love it.
Even when all 7 holds come through at the same time, I say as though I only have 7 books on hold. When 7 of the 20 books I have on hold come
Yeah.
through all at the same time.
I actually have 7, and I have gotten 4 of them in the last 2 days.
Oh my god.
I actually got 7 of them come through
Oh my god.
this week because I didn't pay attention for 2 days, and over the course of 2 days, 7 books came through.
Oh my
Jeez.
god.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually need
Anyway.
to go postpone one of mine. Anyway. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me.
You.
If you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and sometimes TikTok. And all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And just like Edward in this chapter, every day we have to shut down all of our agony to do our jobs. It's like 400 something days into a pandemic.
Oh, it's so dark and so true.
Yeah. Damn.
I hate it when Edward's relatable.
It's
He's-
the worst.
Like, honestly, I feel like we wouldn't find him as relatable if we weren't doing this during a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Vampirism. It's like a global pandemic.